So we've got Inda and we've got Gary here. Gary is an animator, and he does some amazing stuff. So, and Inda is his helper, so he does all the design and all this stuff. So I might actually get both to have a little chat on here. But I'm going to first of all show you Gary's website, because it's marvelous. And this is going to be a little bit different, this live event, because this live event, we're actually going to be showing coding. So we at Zenler don't offer any support on CSS code or code in general. It's such a big subject and we don't tie ourselves to it. So we expect you to know what you're doing if you're coding, if you're doing any kind of CSS or HTML work. So I don't want anybody sort of putting in there like, how do I do this? I've got this code, can you help me with it? Because we don't, okay? We help you with the platform. But in this very special instant, I'm going to show you what you can do to actually do some things that Gary has asked to be done inside the site, which are using code to do it. So it will really open up your mind to the power of Zenler, because a lot of people are touching on the surface. And if you are any kind of developer or coder, or you want to know about these things, then it can be really, really powerful. We also have a course as well that I'm going to show you later where you can go. And in fact, some of the questions that Gary has asked are actually in the course. So I'm going to be pointing Gary to the course and Inda to the course where those things can be found as well. So we have a few questions. There might well be some more as we go through, because I was talking to Gary earlier about this. So I'm going to just share my screen now, and we're going to have a look at Gary's site. So Gary's site is on Zenler, obviously, and it's called puppetryfilms.com. So Gary does lots of courses on animation. There's stop animation. He's got puppetry courses, and you know, he's an acclaimed animator. Very skillful guy. I've looked at some of this stuff and it's amazing, and the site looks brilliant. So I know Inda's working on the site design and things like that. It all looks really good. He's got some upcoming courses coming up, and live courses and things like that, which he wants to know more about as well. So this is Gary's site. So I'm going to go back to Gary now. And Gary, can you just tell us a little bit about you and your site, what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, sure. Well, Zenler is still quite new for me because I've only been using Zenler for the past 12 months. And having said that, I came on and I did a very little stop motion course, which I struggled so much trying to get things working and everything else. So for a time, I just stopped. But it happened during our wonderful COVID. So we were locked down here. I was in my studio without even being able to go out to the toilet for 2 years. That's how bad it was here in Australia. So instead of my usual 6 months of traveling to international schools, teaching stop motion and puppetry all over Europe and Asia, I've been actually closed in here for 2 years. We still haven't been out, even though the lockdown, as we know it, is no more. So what we're trying to do is get the courses online. It's a different beast, getting courses online to teaching live around the world, but it will happen. And it seems to be coming together thanks to Inda, who is a very skilled cinematographer and editor. We're getting it all together, and it's really developing nicely. And the films now, the course films and the lessons are so much tighter and more interactive than they were earlier on. So our first course is 2-dimensional stop motion animation. 2-dimensional, what does that mean? Basically, it was inspired, as we were talking a few minutes ago, by Monty Python in the 1970s, by Terry Gilliam's work. I've always loved stop motion, but this kind of raw, rough, satirical work really inspired me, because most of my life I've been a satirical puppeteer. I've been using the Punch and Judy, the slapstick, the political satire to get my messages across. In the 80s, I was doing puppets against apartheid on the streets of South Africa and getting badly beaten up. And then I took it to Europe and to England and all over. And then I started developing and working more in Puppets Against AIDS, which traveled around the whole world. It was an NGO. And then Puppets for Democracy. I worked during the first elections in South Africa with Nelson Mandela, who I interviewed with a puppet. You can see that on the on one of the videos. But the most important thing to say is that puppetry seemed to be an ideal tool to put a message across without depending on language, without depending. It's a very neutral tool which can communicate anywhere in the world. But on our Zenler courses, we are still using language because it's a course. We are, and all the courses will be in Spanish, English, French, and German at the moment, although that might expand as well. So we'll see where it goes. And that's, so the first course is a 2D animation course. And then in early next year, we're working on getting the 3D, which is a more intermediate advanced course up. And then we'll be starting doing puppetry courses online as well, which I'm very excited about, because animation I've only been doing for a handful of years, whereas puppetry I've been engaged in for the last 50 years. But don't tell them how old I am, please. Anyway, it's very exciting. And I'm very happy to be here tonight with you all. Oh, excuse me, this morning, even though it's getting dark outside.
Well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant, Gary. So absolutely fascinating. So yeah, I mean, we are a worldwide audience. So obviously Gary and Inda are in Australia and we're in the UK. So it's 9 a.m. here and it's about 8 p.m. there, I think, roughly. Yeah. Depending on where you are. So we do cover the world. So it's different times for different people, but you know, that's Zenler. So Inda, sorry.
Yeah.
You want a little chat about yourself? Because
yes,
Gary mentioned you just in
I'll keep it very short though, because I would love to know the details about Zenler's workflow while designing. So I'm a puppeteer, and in India, I've been doing puppetry for almost 22 years, and I was producing political satire exactly like Spitting Image on an Indian news channel. And when I got to know that I was moving to Australia, I basically sent some mails to puppeteers who were there in Melbourne, and Gary was one of them, and he was amazing to actually hang out with me, meet up, and we had food together. And then finally, when I came, then Gary had the plan, which was working. Stuff was already there on Zenler, but since I worked with the news channel for about 16 years, I could see that there was potential in terms of quality and the content creation. And I wanted to basically create the content with him, and he also wanted the content to be revamped, the tutorials, how to shoot it, the camera angles, getting more technical and in-depth with it. And then he introduced me to Zenler. I didn't know about Zenler earlier. I used normal WordPress or other website building tools for myself, my website or other things. But then I said that it can't be very difficult. It will be on the same blocks, compositing, text, that kind of a principle. And when I started working on Zenler, I saw that it's very nicely organized in terms of marketing funnels. You have your tags, you have your payment very easily worked out, but there were still small things that I was not able to find out. I have watched almost every single video that you have uploaded on different aspects. And that's how I basically started designing everything. I viewed most of your videos so far.
And we were all looking at you as our big guru. So now that we're speaking to you live, it's like having the Maharaji Maharishi Yogi on board.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that far.
It's definitely the love for puppetry and the courses. So Gary happens to be one of the most experienced puppeteers who knows a lot about technology. I've worked with many puppeteers. Gary had his planned subscription on Zenler. Gary had his content creation. He's got a camera which records tabletop, which is actually converted. Like, you know how barbers use something for people to put steam on their head. So Gary converted that into a top angle camera rig. So he's very creative like that, and it's amazing working with him.
Wow.
So Zenler is one thing we are exploring right now, and we want to actually maximize our use of Zenler, because in the future, right now we are doing 2D beginners course, then we want to do intermediate, advanced courses with even more advanced technology and different cameras. This course is just with iPad and iPhones that you can shoot with. Later, we want to use Dragon Frame and also use the entire live uh, integration within Zenler to have problem solving videos for students, and also to actually have live sessions with Gary, because although you're doing it from a different perspective, sitting in your own home or studio, but there can be some real problems which can be solved by that little live interaction. So we really want to explore and maximize the use and the potentials of Zenler. So that's why
Brilliant.
Gary basically asked for this special session. And I'm really happy and thankful to you that you're doing it for us.
And maybe we could even do some publicity for Zenler using stop motion animation and using all our magical tools we have here.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I mean, it's really interesting for me personally. I know we haven't got into the workshop part of this yet, but it's really interesting because I do 3D figures, and I've done 3D animation using programs like Maya, and editing using programs like Nuke and stuff. For me, this is really, really interesting, because my next phase was to actually produce 3D miniatures, and I actually 3D print them now. And I did a course and I did the painting. So I showed you how to paint them as well. I used to do lots of stuff for Games Workshop, and I was publicized in magazines like White Dwarf, those kind of things years ago. So I thought, oh, I'm going to get back into my painting, because nothing is better than actually physically holding something rather than working on a screen and painting it. And you know that, Gary, because you're doing all the stuff and it's physically moving things and using your hands. And as artists, we love to actually be tactile with these things. It shows across in the things that you're doing, rather than just have something on screen and you're just producing a retouched image or something. There's no kind of personal connection between you and that piece of artwork that you're producing. So because for me, go on. Yeah.
Because I was born in the early 20th, the very, very early 20th century, before there was such a thing as technology, before television existed. And I'm not kidding, because we only got television in South Africa when I was 19 years old. So the very early days, I like the feel, and because I studied a lot of Czech puppetry, I like the tactile feel of the material. I like to play, and therefore stop motion was a natural continuation of puppetry. And I must admit, I've seen Maya, I know a little bit, but I have never really used that. We do use green screen, we do use technology a huge amount, but all our stuff that we do, even the two-dimensional, is done through touch and feel.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. I mean, I know, Gary, because computers and all the software we've got nowadays, it's pretty recent, really. And I remember I was coming in working as a graphic designer, my first job, and I was working on big art boards, and I'd use pen and ink for everything, and I'd use Ruby Liff and things for cutting, masking out, and I was using these great big cameras with winding wheels, and and I look at it now and I just think, my goodness, and as I was working there in the 10 years I was at this company, we then started, I'd always use things like Amiga 500 was the first second computer I got, and that was being used for things like Top of the Pops when it first kind of like started doing all this funky stuff. So I then brought computers into the workplace and we started to produce that. Right in the early days, I was using really terrible software, and now it's just developed. And my dream always as a kid was like, I love, I used to make my own little figures and things for Games Workshop out of Milliput and those kind of things, PVA glue and balsa wood and sand and, all sorts of these paints. And I always had the dream of being able to do it on my computer and print it out. And then it's only the last 10 years, like all 3D printers have come out, started to get really good. You've got resin printers now, and you're able to do it all at home, which, you know, was a dream when I was a kid. Imagine if I could do it all on screen, then print it out and actually have a figure. You know, for me, that was, ooh. So when I still have that feeling, I still have that excitement as for when I was a little child, when I wanted to be, you know, I wanted the future to get a bit closer to me so I could do this stuff now. And I guess like with you, Gary, it's like you're seeing all this stuff. So you're doing all like the puppetry work, and then you see how things are developed, and you start utilizing some of that into your work, like you say, from puppets like stop motion came about, and those kind of things. Really interesting.
But I have friends in England who are puppeteers, and they actually 3D printing their puppets now and selling them internationally. I mean, how cool is that?
It's good. It's good. Well, if you need something done, let me know.
Oh, well, hang on a second. Don't say that. We're actually keeping a space for you here in our studios.
Oh, that's why you got the red stool at the back there. All right,
well,
brilliant.
We can talk about that after.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to know that we're trying to hijack you to combine the courses and the animation to recruit you into Australia.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. That's brilliant. So that's a little bit of, that's great. I mean, this is fantastic. It's such an exciting thing. If you're into kind of like any kind of film work or how things move and animate, this subject is just amazing. And I could talk to these guys for weeks, I promise you. So I'm not going to. I'm going to stop now, and we're going to move on to the questions.
Can I just say one thing before you do? Is that what is so magical about this world is that the puppet, which can be anything from a piece of brown paper, without any language whatsoever, can communicate the most amazing messages to audiences in any country without saying a word. It's all the visual metaphor of the puppet, just through breathing, just through sound, just through focusing on the eyes, even if it doesn't have eyes. It is such a powerful, powerful tool. And that's what we're showing in our work. And that's what we're showing, especially in our early puppetry workshops, because it was used from the days of the early shaman, the religious function, where people used to be completely blown away by the gods coming to life in the hands of the shaman. So it's a very powerful tool which goes back into our DNA through thousands and thousands of years. It's not something new. It's not something for kiddies. It's something for everybody that human beings resonate with. And that's what we're trying to show. And that's what we're trying to share. So it's an entertainment function, sure. It's a religious function, the social function. There are so many uses, and therapy and schools. I mean, it's just beyond words how many possibilities there are.
Yeah, and it's not just the creative side of this subject, but it's also like animators, I would say, know human body language better than anybody else. Because they're looking at it, they're putting that into the models, they know the anatomy and how things move, and that in itself is a huge subject, you know, to know how someone walks, you know, if they're old, if they're walking and they're old, if they're young.
But more importantly is to know how someone breathes.
And breathes.
Because the breath is the essence of puppetry, the essence of animation. It comes down to the most basic. As soon as an object could be a hard drive, starts breathing, it comes to life. Beautiful.
Lovely stuff. Look at this. This is great. Right, we're going to jump straight into the live bits now. We'll be chatting throughout this anyway, and you know, post your questions in the Facebook group, because I can always ask Gary and Inda about this as well. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to show you what I've done. So the first question I had was, I'm going to do this a little bit out of order that you sent it to me, but it was how to do a header that basically doesn't move. So if I show you the site as we've got it at the moment, let's share this. When we scroll down, we lose the header menu at the top. Now, there is such a thing called a sticky header. And a sticky header means that if you move this down, then the menu system here, which is the header block, moves down with the page. So it always stays on top. So this was a question. Now, the only way that we can do this, by default, we can't turn sticky header on in the menu system. But that might, we might do a release that allows you to do that later. I don't know. That hasn't been talked about, by the way. So I mentioned it once to the guys, but there's no plan. So don't bring me up on this. So at the moment, the only way to do it is to use CSS to do that. So I'm going to show you what I've got on a site that I've done. And this will be what you want to do. So let's show you. This is a new site that I've just done. And if we move this down, this is a Zenler site. You can see our menu is sticking. That's what you wanted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a sticky header. So these remain active over the whole page. Now, there is something you need to think about. So this is a two-pronged answer to this, because we have the sticky header moving, but if it's viewed on a mobile device, then you might not want it to be a sticky header. Now, the reason being is that the size of the screen. So if they've got it turned into a landscape and they're scrolling up and down and you've got, a part of that obscured by the menu, then that's going to cause irritation to the person, because it's in the way. So again, with CSS, we can tell it, we can set a rule up that at a certain size, please deactivate the sticky menu. So I'll give you an example of this. If I bring this down in size here, what you're going to see when I get to a certain point is that it will change to a normal menu. So you want to be thinking of that. Don't think, oh, I'm going to do a sticky menu and that's it. That's the end of it. You should be thinking about who's viewing your website. Now, mobile connections to websites are going up and up and up and up. So it's something you need to pay a lot of attention to, how your site is looking responsively and whether you've got this menu dropping up at that point. Now you can set when the break point happens. Now my break point on mine, I'm just looking at my code for this, is 770 pixels, and then it breaks to the mobile version there. So you can see there, and then it just breaks into this. And this is now the sticky menu. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you got that break point. So the only way we can actually do this is to use CSS code. Now, as I said at the beginning of this, we don't offer any support with the CSS code I'm about to show you, but it is an interesting one to show as a live build because we like to show you everything that Zenler can do, even these really powerful things. So I have got access to the page here, and I'm going to show you how this works using the inspector. So guys, if you've never, Indy, have you ever used the inspector before inside of Zenler, inside of Chrome, the browser?
Just show me what you're talking about.
So it's
just show me. Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. So
in order to copy some of the HTML, sometimes I wanted to copy certain blocks from another page to some other page. So usually you cannot just shift blocks from one page to the other. I copy the code and then I go and paste it in the other block.
Right. Okay. So you're familiar with it, which is good.
Yeah.
So the inspector is really powerful because it allows you to target code inside the page. So we have a course on this. We have a course called Ninja Tricks inside our tutorials.newzenler.com site. Now I'll be referring to that later, so I will go to that course. So that's got how to set up a sticky header in there, Indy. So Inda. So it's already in there, but I'm going to do it for you live. So what we want to do is we want to target this header menu here. And then once we have played around inside this area, we can then add that code into a certain area into the admin. So inside the admin of the site we have here, we have a site, and then we have site settings, and we have this site settings in global includes. And this is where we can put any CSS that we have in here. Now, the thing to remember with CSS is we need to surround it with a tag, and it only has to be done once. It needs to go at the beginning of the CSS code, and it needs to go at the end of it. And that tag is style, and it's just got those brackets around it. And then at the end of the CSS, so the CSS would go into this area, into here, okay? I'm not going to do that because it'll mess the site up. And the end tag for it is a backslash and then style. So now I am able to put CSS inside this area, okay? So let's do it. I'm going to set this so that it becomes sticky. So at the moment, it's not sticky. I'm going to right-hand click. I'm going to go down to inspect. I'm going to go and inspect the element by going over here. And I want to capture the whole element. You know, I don't want to capture just part of it here. I'm trying to go for the topmost part of this. And if I click in there, I can go up through here and we can find out where the whole header area is. And it's going to be there. You see that it says header, logo, nav, and I'm looking for just header. So I'm looking over, notice there's a little thing that comes up. When I go over, it says div, header 5 block. We're looking for the topmost block of that, which has given me this here. Now I know this is slightly wrong. This is why we don't offer code, because you need to kind of know what you're doing. So the actual code for this is something called header style, okay? So I'm going to go and grab that from my side doc. And it's a case, sometimes it's a case of messing around inside the CSS. So you can just go over a block area like that. And then you can go in there and you can change things inside that header block. I'm going to put this new one in. And we are going to override. So this is overriding the system. So you can override even the branding fonts in the branding section. So if you set like a font style for a heading to be like Lato, you could actually override it using CSS and change it to a completely different font, size, and color. So you have this real lot of power in there to be able to do this. So I'm going to go and put this in here now. Now this, here we go. Okay, so I put that little bit of code in there. So dot header style position fixed. This is the important bit, position fixed. So it's not gone in there yet because I need to give it a few more options. You'll notice that it's completely disappeared. If I click that to turn it off, it comes back. If I click that, it disappears. Now, it doesn't mean it's gone, it's deleted. It just means that we need to set a few more things up. So the first one I'm going to set up is the top position for this. So I'm going to put top in here, and then I'm going to put colon, and I'm going to put 0 px in here. And we need to, and I hope this is going to work, doesn't always. I'm going to put an important tag here, put that in there, and I'm going to copy these across so I can just show you what's going on. Then the next one I'm going to put in here is going to be the width, so it's 100%. And then a really important one we need to say is the Z position of this. Okay, what Z index does is it says what order that particular element is. So if I was to put a Z index of 0, it would be right at the back. If I was to put a Z index of 5, it would be 5 forwards. So I put a high one in here because I always want it. I've actually put 20,000 in here so that I always make sure it's going to be on the top of every other element. So look, our menus come up at watch. And now is the sticky menu. Okay. So once you have this sorted out, there's lots of other things we can do with this. We can add things like gradients. You'll notice in this one, I've got a gradient on here. Do you see? So that is just in that style. So once you have this CSS code, I can now, and we tested it in here, I can copy it and I can put it into our site. So let me just, if I refresh the page, it's all going to reset. So it's just gone back to how it was before. So now I've got that code because I've copied it. I'm going to come into the site, and between those style tags, I'm going to put that code in there. Now, something to bear in mind, I always, after every CSS style in here, I always put an exclamation mark and important followed by a semicolon. That just marks it as important. The reason that I do that is that if the CSS code has been built into Zenler, then it will take priority over it because you said it's really important that this sticks. So you've put it in there. So if I click update now, right, it's now going to add that CSS code. So now, Gary, if you check your site, I'm going to refresh this. Let's go into incognito. We now have a sticky menu. And it's as easy as that. Now, some of you are probably scratching your head going, I don't understand it.
Yes,
I don't understand.
It's working.
Yeah, Gary, but it's you're basically setting a rule to stick to. For instance, like I can give you a short example. If you Google like CSS code, it's going to give you lots of different tags that you can use. So you can always use Google to find specific bits of code that you're going to use, like these kind of things. You can find all that code. So if I show you a quick example of how this could work, if I went in here and I selected your text here, I could come into here and I could completely change the color of it. That is now, I've done that. That hasn't changed your site, your end, Gary. It's just I'm using the inspector as a test environment in my browser. Nobody else sees this. It's as you set it.
I love it.
Okay, so you can test things out. You can go in and say, oh, you know, that text shadow, do I like that text shadow? Maybe I want to change it to something completely different like that. See that changed in there? And you can go ahead and play around with this. I could say in here that maybe I want to try a different size. I want to try 45 in here or something.
So this is only in the browser and it's got nothing to do with the website.
Correct. Unless you copy this code and put it into here.
Okay, I'm with
you. So you can use this as a test environment. So like this line space in between here and here is really close. So you can have fun with this. You can go in and play around in your site. Be a little bit careful though, because if, for instance, you change one tag, say your site has 50 pages and all of them have like an H1 heading in there. If you set an H1 heading in global includes, it will be applied to every page that has an H1 setting. So if you go to the other page, you might go, oh, that's wrong. That looks massive. It's because you've put that code. It's applying that change to
Sorry, but that's only on this page. It's not in our, it won't affect the website though. It's only in this Chrome.
No, while I'm working in this environment here and I haven't copied that code into my site, it's not going to affect your website.
Okay, excellent.
You're only going to see this, you know. So like the line height here is just too close together. So I put, I changed the line height there. I put that to like 50 or something, and then it's going to spread, you know. So you can go ahead, and just play around. And this is what I do with lots of clients. You know, I'll have their website up. I'll be doing a Zoom meeting and I'll say, what about, do you want this? And they'll say, oh, I want the font a little bit bigger. And then I just go in here and I just, and I have this on my, over here. I have it off on my other monitor. So they don't even see me changing the CSS code. So they're like, how did you do that? Has that affected my site? And it's just because I'm using the inspector. So it really is like you're a wizard when you're doing these meetings.
So it's like hypnotizing your clients, right?
Oh, David.
It is. It's like, well, how did you do that? So you can go in there and you can change all these little elements inside here. You know?
David, may I ask you something? So
Yeah,
does Zenler have any specific page where certain rules of CSS codes are written to be used, or do we just use Google and find the code and then paste it for the global parameters or whatever element that we are trying to do?
Yeah, so in Zenler, we give you the ability to change on a page level. We also give you the ability to change on a global level, which is what we've just done.
Where do you get the code from? Where do we get the code from?
The code, what you mean, the CSS code?
Yes.
From here. So if I'm changing this, for instance, and I'm going here.
No, I meant in detail what you wrote, that this needs to be fixed, important, because not everybody would know the language of CSS, right?
No, and that's why we can't offer you support, you know, because CSS is a big subject. It's off of topic. But if you go to, let's just go in Google here, and I go CSS code. And then you're going to find that W3 Schools is really good. It gives you some examples of how you can use CSS syntaxes. So it shows you in here, like specify different margins. If you wanted to CSS buttons, if I go into that area, it gives you what that would look like. And you can go and grab that code. You obviously would find the button, yeah, and you grab this code because your tag might be different. Okay, so you can go in here and you can actually grab this code inside here. Different colors.
David, I have worked on a couple of Linux distros, and I am pretty comfortable with using terminal and stuff. But I'm thinking a person like Gary would probably, write it down right now and try and copy paste, and probably he'll mess up in some tries, a lot of trial and error. But I think for the long term, it makes sense for someone to include that code at the back end to create like a user interface so that people in Zenler who are using it to make the sites can use it.
Yeah,
because not everybody is knowledgeable enough to use the code.
Yeah, but I want to stop you there, because we're talking about coding now. You know, Zenler is a platform that's really easy to use. We're not going to start to put in their best practices for coding and these kind of things. We're not going to do that. What we do is we want this system to be basically anyone can use it. So someone with no code can use it. What we're talking about now in this live build is an advanced subject. It's like, if you don't know about CSS, if you don't know about HTML, stay away from it. Ask someone that does, because that's not our responsibility to set up coding examples inside the site. If it's a new feature and it's asked for, something like sticky headers, then we will produce that. We'll actually put it in there. So there's a little button you can click, so it will apply it. But what's happening behind the scenes is Zenler has added that CSS code in there for that to take effect. But we're not going to put on there, use this code to change this, use code to change this. And in any case, I've done a course on commonly asked questions, such as how to create a sticky header. So all those things are done. So we're not clouding it. You know, I had to fight a little bit to get the Ninja Tricks course onto the Zenler tutorial site, because there's one camp saying that we shouldn't overcomplicate things, and there's another camp saying that people need to know the power of Zenler. I'm in the camp, I want people to know the power of it if you have those skills. But like we've said all the way along, we do not offer support on code, because otherwise we'll be troubleshooting everybody's code problems. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if we put an example in there, we will get questions.
The one little thing that I had is the certificates at the end of the course. Your certificates are incredibly limited. We wanted ours with our logo and everything else, which Inda did. I couldn't, however, do it. So those kind of things too are, yeah, a little bit tough.
I saw one of your videos and I followed it through. I got the Boxy app. I did it on Boxy, and basically some photos were difficult, some fonts were difficult to work with. I mean, it took a lot of trial and error, but at the end of the day, I designed the certificate in SVG format.
Right, because yeah, actually, I realised that Inda, because I produced quite recently. I produced another video on creating certificates, and it's actually using a much more stable piece of software to do that. But it's like certificates in any system, whether it be Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, they all use a system called SVG. Some of them have got certificate builders, but they are very limited on what you can do. There are templates that they give you, but you just put your logo in and they don't allow you to change it a lot. At least with Zenler, you can upload your own SVG file where then it becomes limitless what you can do with it. So I'm going to quickly show you where these tricks are that we're doing now are inside the course. So, you know, just because I need to cover this, because people might ask questions on, you know, how can I find out more information about this? And these courses that I've done on Ninja Tricks do explain it in a very, very clear way. I'm not just jumping into a site and putting code in there. I show exactly how I do it. So this will be of real interest to a lot of people and maybe to you guys as well. So on our site, which is tutorials.newzenler.com, if you come down to our Zenler Extras area and you come into here, we have a course inside here called Advanced Ninja Tricks. Now, if you haven't done this course, you need to, if you're interested in doing this sort of thing. And inside here, we have loads of stuff. So I actually introduce you and tell you what CSS is. I give you locations and effects of CSS and applying CSS to headers across pages globally, which is what we just did. And also about how to backtrack yourself. So how to get out of problems and get your site back to how it was before. And we also look at having fun with it, which is creating a parallax effect. That's where the background image stays where it is and the text moves over the top. We have media queries and controls, creating a sticky header. That's the one you wanted. So it's in there because these are asked by more advanced users. They go, oh, it'd be good to have a Ninja Trick. They normally PM me. Be good to have a Ninja Tricks on how to do that. So I put it into that course. We don't publicly talk about the Ninja Tricks. It's a bit like Fight Club. You know, people know it's there, but you don't talk about it, that kind of thing. So this is for more advanced users and problems that people look into as well. So with that in mind, it brings me on to the next thing with your site, because we've already done the header now. So Gary, your site now on every page has got this sticky header. So if I go into support, you're going to see, oh no, it's not long enough. The page isn't long enough. But if the page was long enough, I'd scroll down and you get that sticky header. So that has now been applied.
I can see that. I can see it's working.
Yeah, globally across your site. The only problem is that we haven't tackled the problem for when it's really small. So when it's really small, you've still got the sticky header. So you probably don't want that. Maybe you do. Do you want that?
Yes.
I don't know really.
Yes.
What does that actually mean?
See, David, it works because then we have those 3 lines or dots, and then we can just hit on that, and then the options of the menu appear. So even if it's sticking over there, but if we can reduce the height of it, that'll probably work. But otherwise, sticky.
I would say turn sticky off for
the mobile.
Yeah, I would, because it's just going to be it's going to be better. So I'm going to show you again, like how to, you can delete this code out if you want in the later. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. So you can delete it out. So so what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a media query. Now, a media query, or it will look at the size of the browser. Yeah, the screen size, and it will make a call whether the browser is it will know if it's at set size. So you can tell the system using CSS that when it gets to a set size, I want to set this new rule up for it. Okay, so it will basically be hold the first lot of CSS. When it gets to a certain size, the other CSS at that size will kick in, and it's called using a media query in here. So I'm going to show you the code for it. It's basically the same as the header code, except we've changed this back to what it was before when it wasn't a sticky header. So I have got the header information here. This was the first one to create stickiness. And you can see I've got that Z index. I haven't included that with yours because you don't need it. That's for the gradient. And we told it fixed position from the top 0. So it's zeroing at the top, and it's a width of 100% going across, and of course the Z index is bringing it to the front because it's a really high number. So we're now going to say when it gets to a certain size, I want this, all of this stuff to deactivate and to follow a new set of rules. So when it gets to this size, in this case 770, I want it to take on this side, this rule. So you're going to see this rule comes in max width 770. After that point, it will just turn this CSS rule off and the other one will kick in. So you'll also see that it's slightly different tagged. I've got an open bracket here, and then I've got the CSS code and it's closed. And then I've got, whenever you have an open bracket, you've got to have a closed bracket. So there's one at the end. So this contains the media query. Now, if I want more changes to appear in this media query, I can put a new set of rules in here if I wanted to. So if I put H1, I could put a new set of rules into this area. Okay, but we're not going to. We're just going to turn this off. So this is the code for it. So I'm going to take this code, and Indy, you can turn this code off if you want to. So I'm going to come into here again. I'm going to put it just above that closing style tag, and we're going to paste that in there. So now I've got that new media query in there.
Sorry, you said above the tag.
That it is above it there. So we've got that closing one.
Tag of the style.
All the CSS is surrounded by this
Style.
And then at the end, closed.
Okay.
Always make sure it's in there. So I'm now going to click update. So let's have a look what happens now. So I'm going to refresh the page, control, and let's do this in an incognito window, actually, just so that I'm not logged in. So I'll go into incognito, and there we go. So there we go. So we're moving this up and down, and we've got our sticky menu. And now I'm going to start to close this up. So now I've closed this up. It's going to do something a little bit different. Notice it's all gone black. Right. Yeah. That's my mistake, because I need to take a little bit of that CSS out. So I need to take that background out. Notice I've got a background of black. #000 is black. I need to take that out because I left that in from my website. So I'm going to click update, and then we're going to go back to that incognito window. And we're going to check it. So I'm just going to hit the refresh. And now it should be fine. So now I'm going to bring this down in size. And as soon as we hit that point, it's fine, but we haven't got a sticky menu anymore.
Oh, okay.
So if I do it that size, we've got a sticky menu. And as soon as it hits that break point, which is 770, which is bang, we haven't got the sticky menu. So
and also all the menu disappears. It becomes those 3 stripes there.
Yeah, that's normal behavior. Yeah, that's normal mobile behavior. That's called a burger menu. So it always turns into a little burger menu.
I wouldn't know about that. I'm a vegetarian.
Right. So that's quite a big one. That's probably the biggest question that you asked.
Can I just ask you one thing while you're still there?
Yeah.
Go back to if I want to change the word support to queries or questions or something, how do you change the word?
Really easy. You just need to go into pages. Go into any of the pages. We're going to hit this little pencil icon to bring up the page editor, and we're going to change the dynamic header menu. So do we want to change it, Gary? Do you want me to change it now?
Actually, I could change it. I knew, but the person who designed the site before me, I didn't know where all he created links for support to appear. If I change the page name from support to say contact, then those links, wherever he has shared, I don't know where all he shared to be triggered, how support appears or a dialog box. That's why I didn't change it.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I've picked the only page that hasn't got a menu at the top. That's pretty typical. I'll just go to the home page.
Sorry, you've lost me, but carry on.
I basically,
it's all right. Don't worry. I just haven't got the right page to come up. So because in your site, what you've got is you've got this dynamic header. So wherever you've put this dynamic header through all your pages, if you change it once, it will change in all of them. So we can easily change support. We just need to go into the menu area of the header. This is the same for the footer as well. The footer has got its own dynamic area down here, which you can change. And we're going to talk about the gain CSS to change these.
David, how do we find out where all the link to support page is triggered? That's why I didn't change the name, because I didn't know where all.
Inda, I'm going to get to that 2 seconds. Right. So I'm now in your homepage. This dynamic header is run across all of your pages.
Oh, okay.
So we just need to click here. We just need to go to the gear icon.
Right.
And we need to go across to menu. And if I go in here, I can now edit that text.
Well, if I get your photo out of the way, yeah.
Oh, am I in the way? Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
I'll have to turn my video off to do that.
Okay. No, it's fine.
There we go.
But we can't see anything.
It's okay.
It's right.
I just moved it slightly.
So it's there. You can edit these by going into the edit here.
Okay, I can see that.
Right.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
Right. In that to get to the actual page, we say go to link. And then you see it says support. That goes to your support page. So if you look through your site, let's have a look. There it is. So that's your support page. So if I was let's say I was creating a link to the cookie policy, I could go in here, grab this part of the URL, copy it. You could, by the way, you could grab the whole URL. Just best practices is to grab just this part from the end of the domain. So it's / whatever the page is. Like community would be / community. So I'm just grabbing the end part. That's best practices. I'm going to copy that, and I'm not going to make this live, so I'll delete it out. But then I could come in here to add that to the menu. All I would do is close that up, click add, type in here. Cookie.
Oh, I see. You can even add extra titles on the top.
Yeah. You can also say whether that particular menu is visible for logged in or logged out users.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so if you've got all, so everybody sees it.
That's what that was one of your questions.
That's what I told Gaz. The only problem I was having was I don't know where all the support page got triggered on which pages. That meant that knowing wherever that link was placed, it has to be changed to contacts or whatever we are naming it later.
Yeah. So well, let's just finish this one off. So if I'm going to that particular one, I'd say go to link, and then I just put that link in there. And now that will appear in here. It hasn't appeared yet. And I can also say whether if I click on, then that will open in a new tab. If I leave it off, it'll open in the same tab.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so it'll open in a new tab like here, or it'll just open on itself. So best policy is if you're going to an external website, always turn on the open in new tab, because then you never lose them from your site. Okay, they stay on your site and a new tab opens up to, maybe a YouTube channel. That way you're not going to lose them. So if it's going to an external site, always do it as open in new tab. If it's going to an internal site, generally you would turn it off like that. So if I save this now, I'm going to do it. Notice it's come up there. So now if I go to your live site, and it's your live site, it's going to come up here. So I'm going to delete it out quickly.
Yeah, delete. Because people are going to be thinking we're offering cookies with the course.
Yeah. So now it's gone. So if I just refresh this, it's gone. So Inda, you were saying about if you wanted to change the name, you can change the name. You could just come into support here, go into this little gear icon, and you could change the URL in here, and you could change the name in here. But then you'd need to make sure that you update that link in the dynamic header like we just did. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. As in how it is mapped to support page to go. Like I could create a contact, but I didn't know if at all at any page or any automation, any email where it triggers people to go to support page. How do we figure out where all the previous link was placed so that it needs to be changed to contact? If anybody was sent to support through any automation, like that is something that I want to know.
So you want to put that link in an email that you send out to send people to the support page?
No, probably in some automation rules of mails, some mails definitely went towards support earlier, right? It's support link must be sent through some automation that if you are having any trouble, click on this page too. So I didn't know how to change all of those automations, and like how do I track like where all the link needs to be changed?
I don't understand what you're saying, but okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's quite. I think that's quite a big subject to talk about, because like your support page that you have will go to the admin of the site. So whoever you set up as admin, then they're going to receive the email for support. If someone has a support question, that's not automation. That's just the way the system works. So if you're setting up a form, you can set up a form and you can then trigger them into, this is getting advanced stuff, but you can basically trigger them into a funnel, and then you can send an email out to yourself, or you can tag them, you can do all sorts of things. But we have videos on all of this stuff. So what I think, because we need to stay on track, send me your questions after this, and then I can send you to the right videos to watch. That's going to be, because we can't go off subject. We start talking about email automations, that's going to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
So technically, if we just change the name of that title to contact and don't change the link of support, that will work, right?
Yeah, but test it.
Yeah,
but test it all out. Like all these things, you need to test them, and then if you have a problem with it, then we can resolve it, you know.
Cool.
But yeah, so that is how we can sort of change a header menu in there. We can actually just change it and set up a new link to the page. We've already looked at the sticky header and responsiveness, how it changes. So another question was asked, how do we change the social media icons at the bottom? So this is another little one. How do we change the size of it? So I'm going to jump into here. I'm going to jump into our handy little site, and I'm going to show you. And again, CSS, it's all CSS today. So down in, we're going to go to the actual site. We're going to go down to the bottom down here. You can see these little social media icons. So Gary has social media icons connected to everything. It's got Facebook, got Instagram, got Twitter, YouTube, got Vimeo. So very good. Are these all connected up?
Yes, of course. What do you think?
I'm just checking. Yeah, they are. Right. So let's go to inspect. Not that I'm doubting you. I just thought, God, that's a lot of them. You're doing well there. Brilliant. All right. So again, I've got my inspector up. So I'm going to go down to, I'm going to grab that little thing there, and I'm going to go down to this icon. I'm just going over the icon. So you're going to see that this comes up with a.fab.fa and then hyphen Facebook square dynamic. I'm going to click that, and then up here you're going to see the little Facebook. Now we have to do this per social icon, unfortunately. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put in font, and then it will give me all the options. And I want to do font size. So we want to change these icon size. So you guys let me know what size you want them. I'm going to put in 30 pixels to start with. How's that?
Oh, that's already better.
David, go back. Show me what you did with font. Where did you type it, please?
Go back. Okay.
Yeah,
hold on.
just go back and yeah.
Right. So you can.
So we go to inspect. Yeah.
Little like thing there, down to here. Click on that icon.
Okay.
It comes up there.
Okay.
Inside
Where do you
here.
type font? Yeah.
Yeah. So all I'm doing, the little cursor's flashing. I'm just going to type FONT, right? And I get all these options for fonts. So these are all CSS options. You can see there's a lot of them. All I want is the font size. I don't care about any of the rest because that's the one I want to use. It's already put it in there because it's popular. But if I scroll down, I'll see font size somewhere here, and this will give me the large size icons. I'll click that, and now I'm going to type in here 30px, and you can see it goes there. So I could put this, I could do it that big. How big do you want it, Gary? What were you looking at?
30px.
That size?
Yep.
Right. Fabulous. So
can I just say, sorry to interrupt you.
All right.
But in Weebly, where my website is, it gives you a blue icon which you just drag and put there, and it's the right size, the right color, everything for all of them.
Yeah. So you this is what we have in Zenler. It's not a Wix site, it's not a Squarespace site, and it's not a WordPress site. So this is what we have, but there's certain things that I've put requests in, and other guys have, and that is like things like social media colors and those sort of things. At the moment, it's based on the links, so it colors it based on the link. You could override it.
No, it's fine.
Let's do an override. Let's just do an override here. Let's put color, okay? Yeah. And then I'm going to select color, and then I'm going to put colon, and then I'm going to put in a basic hash color. So I'm going to put hash, and I'm going to put 000. You can see it's going to turn black. All right, we don't want it black. Inside here, now I could go and pick a nice Facebook blue.
But you have to know American to spell color, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So so you can change the color. So you could do that per icon. So you could do that. So that's quite interesting for you guys, because you might want to change the color of all those to the social links, and then it would be
nice actually with the color.
Yeah. Shall I keep that color in there for now, and you can modify?
I don't know. Speak to my boss.
Inda?
Yeah. Yes, likes it. We will keep the icons according to their original color scheme.
So leave it like that. Right, at least you know. Now, you got the replay of this. If you want to change it, you just need to add that to the CSS. Ooh. So this is this one's done 30. We need to do all the rest. So what I do is I grab this, copy it, jump into your site. I'm going to go back to the site settings. Then we're going to jump into the global includes, and then I'm going to add this into here. So I'm not going to put it inside here because this is the media one. I want to put it at the bottom here, or I want to put it just under the script, the style.
And it knows where to go, does it?
Well, I'm putting it where it goes. So I put it in between that style. Always put CSS between that style and that closing style. It's got to be in between that for it to work. So I'm going to put that in there. You're going to see it's dropped the color in there. So that's that. And I always put this at the beginning. So I take exclamation mark important, then colon. So I copy that, and I'm just going to delete the semicolon, put that in.
Sorry, just explain, why is it important?
Well, because inside the global includes, it needs to be, for CSS, you need to tell the global includes that it is style that you want to change. So you need to make sure that you're putting any CSS. This is just the way it is, Gary. I didn't invent it. So it's kind of, this is just the way it is. So the inside here, where it says style, all your CSS should go between this and between this closing style tag.
Okay.
If I was to put the style in here outside of that tag, it will not work, right?
Okay.
Gary, there's a hierarchy of action of, you know, the script sees certain things happening. So we are saying that no matter what happens, this happens.
Yeah, it's like you have here, like you have pixel code. You've got opening scripts and you've got close, or the Google. You've got an opening script, a closing script, and then you've got an opening script tag here. So it needs to be tagged with what it is. So because this is a style change, you need to tag it with style. So it needs to be style, and then you need to put in your CSS code, and then at the end of it, you have closing style, so that it closes it off. It's like setting a, this is like the book cover style, and then this is like the end page of it.
Yeah.
And everything between it. So you can put more bits into those pages, but you can't put it outside. If you put it outside, it won't work. It needs to be between those style tags.
Okay.
Yeah.
So under Facebook over there, David, can we write other heading names like Facebook Square, Vimeo, and then the rest of the values are same, or we have to paste code for every individual square separately?
Yeah, you're going to need to do it for each of the social, but remember it's global, so you've only got to do it once. So again, I'm going to do this really quick now, guys, because we've covered that. So if I go into that one now, you can see I've got an Instagram.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to copy that. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this in a document, because it's a lot quicker for me to save these things out without putting them all into the site individually. So what I have is I have a word pad like this, and all I do is I've already got that size set up at 30 pixels. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this for Instagram. And I'm just pasting it into my document. Oh. Right. So I'm just pasting it into there. So I can quickly then go around and do these, because it doesn't take that long. Once you start to copy that, again, I'm putting that into my document on my other computer. And next one. This is YouTube. So again, I'm pasting this on my other computer. And then finally, I've got Vimeo here. Copy. Okay, so you can see them there. So I've got these. So I'm going to use these straight in the CSS, and I'm going to basically copy what we've already got in there. So I'm going to go into this. We're going to go down to there. There it is.
I see. Okay.
And I'm going to put these in here, and I'm going to style. I'm going to give myself a little bit of space here, so it's a bit easier to see. And there we have that. And I don't need to produce this, because this says content. This is what shows the icon. So all I'm changing is the font size to 30 pixels. So all I need to do now is to grab this, copy it, and I just need to put it into each of these. So I'm going to do that one there, that one there, that one there, and finally that one there. And then I need to update. Now, when I do a refresh on the page, all these icons should be at 30. So we're going to refresh that, go down the bottom, and now we've got our...
Oh, good job.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so by just doing one, you can grab that code and just copy it into the rest.
Yeah, got it.
And
I was sitting on the page. I was sitting on the page. I thought probably I'll do one, but you did all. So that's great.
So that's good. Right. So,
And one thing came from our marketing person, David. She said, can you put the sign in button in footer so that it's there in every page?
you'll have to drop that block into every page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could put the sign in.
Yeah, I can make the block just above the footer so that it stays on all the pages.
The
Yeah,
I
sign
can
up
add
one.
it to all the. Yes, she said, no, this sign up, which is below where people get to sign for the website with the email ID and name. So this can be like a thing when people scroll down on every page, sign up option is there. It's some sort of a standard so that once people have done reading and they're interested in signing up, so that they sign up. That's what Murphy was saying. Murphy is our marketing head.
Right. Okay. So, right.
And she's the one who spells color without the U, which we don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any code is all, is the American standardized color.
After watching one of your videos, how you spell enroll, ENROL, I told Gaz, which English do you want to follow, English or British? How do you spell enroll? So we wrote the British English enroll, and then Murphy saw it. Murphy saw it, and then she was like, "This is wrong. This is not."
You just
a bit of a joke.
You're distorting your microphone. It's going in your mouth. The thing is that, yeah. It's not English or British. It's English or American.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the spellings.
Okay. A good point there. So, right, guys, look. Right, we've done the icons, we've done the sticky header. They were the biggest ones to cover. But we did have some other questions. Now, there are certain things we can't do. I know you've asking importing your own fonts. At the moment, you can't import your own fonts, but you do have access to hundreds of fonts using the Google font. So you have pretty much all the fonts you need. There is talk about being able to upload your own custom fonts. I know that's not a secret or anything because Rakesh has mentioned it on office hours before. So
we don't get office hours here. We banned in Australia. We've got sleep hours.
No, well, we run different times. We run 10 a.m. and we run 5 p.m. We alternate it each week for the world. So you can always catch the 10 a.m. one, Gary. No excuses.
What day is that?
For the brand.
It's on a Wednesday. On Wednesday, 10 a.m. on the Facebook group. It streams straight in there. So we always do that so that it covers both areas. And I am even running a live workshop mentorship, and that runs every Sunday at 10 a.m.
So 10 a.m. is 9 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll give you the link to the mentorship because, Inda, you might want to go on there and Gary might want to go on there as well. If I give you a link to it.
What day is that?
It's on Sundays, every Sunday. But sign up for the course, because if you sign up for the course, you can see all the replays. You've also got a community area. So inside the community, you can ask questions.
Yeah.
So it's a place for people to hang out. And this particular, I was running them at 4 p.m. But I run that for about 7-8 months. And now I want to cover the Southern Hemisphere. So all you guys. So now I'm running this new time, which is 10 a.m. on Sundays to cover that side of the globe. So these are running. So this is going to run probably for about 8 months. It's going to get really detailed with stuff. And you should definitely get in there even if you're just watching the replays. So I'll give you the link to where you can sign up for that. I'll put that into the Facebook post because we are live. I haven't seen any. I don't know if there's any questions coming yet. No questions.
There's only a hello from Judy Rafat.
Yeah, so I've put that in there, and
Maybe.
you've got that, and I'll put that in the chat as well. There you go.
And
So you want to get in there. So like I'm just gonna cover the other questions because
yes,
there's a lot that we can't do in here. So importing your own fonts, that hopefully will come along at some point. But at the moment we've got access to hundreds of fonts using Google Fonts. So it should really not hold you back, because if you got, there must be something similar to what you're trying to get.
yeah, he bought one particular font he bought, Gary, for the course branding. So I was just thinking of using it, but then I realized that I probably can just make a photo of it and then use it on some pages. But I can't.
Sorry, Inda, can you turn your microphone up? It's quite low.
My daughter and my wife, they both are asleep. They'll kill me if I increase my voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What I meant was actually Gary bought a font for branding, and I was thinking of using that.
Right. Okay. So as an option, see if that font isn't already available in the Google font.
No ways. No ways.
Oh, no. Right. Okay.
It's a very, very unique font.
Right. Okay. So you could, if you wanted to, you could actually put that into, you could do a transparent PNG file and use that instead. But I stay away from using it too much. You do not want it to be like keyword specific or anything, because the search engines don't like images so much as text for like headings. So
no, well, it only says Puppetry films. That's all it says.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, use that. That's fine. That's good. And then make sure it's got an alt tag saying Puppetry films as well, so it picks up on it. So you can do that, but you know, hopefully we're going to have a stage where we can actually upload our own font and put it on there. So that's that one. So now we've got, how do you change the login screen? Well, right, okay, so login, the register page, those kind of blocks that you're seeing are sort of default. We can't really change them. We don't give you the ability to change them because it's a really important part of the site. So you can go in and change the colors and things of certain stuff. And you can do all that under the settings. So where you've got like things like your login page and those kind of things, you can go in and change it a bit. Let me just go in. I'm just going to jump into the site.
If you can see, because we have our color codes for button is red, and for login only, you know, I had pages in that dark gray or something, and I thought probably it will be in the branding rules and I'll be able to change it, but I couldn't.
Yeah, so there's I mean, you have got some options in there that you might not be aware of. So if that's the case, you might be able to just adapt this, and it should match most of your styling. So here we have the page. If you go into this little block here, you can go in and change things like the color of that there. Let me just save this because I don't want to alter the live site. I could change it to that color, you know. For the title color, again, I could change that to whatever you like. And you can change things like the background as well in here. So you could change this background around if you want it a different color. Yeah. So there is a lot of options already in here. You can change that title text inside here.
David, I meant the login.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though. I'm showing you at the moment, I'm showing you this get in touch page, but they've all got these same settings in them. So whether you're doing it for your register page, your login page, your support page, they've all got these same options inside them. So I've only got to show you once on that, and that should be clear. Now you can do other things with CSS, but I think we covered a lot of CSS today, so I'm going to stay away from that. You can send it to me privately if you need to. So you can change it, but we don't allow you to change things like making it like one inline form or those kind of things. It's very much as it is. And the reason being is this is a really important part. If we allowed you to change things around and you accidentally mess something up, it would mess your site up and it would not work. So we do not let you have that option to do it, but we do give you certain things that you can do in here, as you can see down here. You can change the background title, line color, you know, the button background color and the button text color. So you know, so it's usable enough to use.
The way this block is editable, David, login page, login block is not editable.
You've got the login page.
Yeah, but the login page, the way you
Here.
have edited this for colors, login page cannot be edited like that.
Well, you can change the page around the outside. It's just that dynamic block in the middle that we don't allow you to change, add new fields and these kind of things.
I just wanted to change the color of the button.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, easy. So I'm now in your login page.
Yeah.
So maybe. Oh. Ooh, that's weird. All right. So let's just target it with CSS then. Okay. So opening that page up, right hand click, go down to inspect.
That's strange.
Yeah, I'll talk to the guys about that. And there we go. I've got the bit there. This is actually for all of the, if you change this bit of code, it would change for all the buttons, but that's probably what you want to do anyway, isn't it?
All of the button,
yeah, all of the buttons that are in any of the dynamic blocks. So in the support page, you've got the dynamic block with the button. In this page here, you got this. Yeah, in the register page, you've got a button. So with that code inside here.
Yeah, Gary has a preference of red, which is a different red. Gary.
Well, you can change it.
Colors.
Yeah, so I mean, if I went and changed it to.
No, I'm fine with the same red that you've got. But obviously the writing should stay in white.
Yeah, you wouldn't touch that.
I actually keep one special font. They have a beautiful font for colors on Zenler. I use that regardless of the theme colors because it's just very clear to read on the buttons and looks very elegant. Matserat or something like that.
So that there has changed that color, yeah?
Yeah, great. That's great.
So I could copy that and then I could put that into your CSS of the site.
I'm surprised that there wasn't a thing for them to change the button color.
Yeah, I'll talk to Rakesh about that because it's strange because we've got it in all of the others. That's why I just assumed that it would. So I'm going to change that background color now. So if I put in here, and then we just click update, now that button will be changed.
I am not going to mess with the CSS myself, that's for sure.
Well, you can play around with it. You can always backtrack. I mean, Gary, if I wanted to, I could just delete that back out. I could delete all of the CSS that we put in there. I could go right down to there and then I could cut it all out. Now it's back to how it was when we started. So you don't have to stick with it. You can have a little play. If it doesn't work how you expected, you can just delete that part out.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So that is a question I will ask Rakesh. Why can't we change the colors of that block for the login? So maybe it was something that they need to just sort out. So good point. Again, this is why I love live builds, because sometimes things come up and you think, well, it should work like that block, and it doesn't. So nice question. Okay. So we got how to change the login screens. We got how to give. Right. So you've got how to give certificates only after final submission, or set a rule for the certificates. So if you enable certificates will fire when they finish the course.
Yeah.
But is that after you finish marking their final homework, or is that
Yeah, if you've got because I know exactly what you're getting at here, Gary. It's like at the end of it, you'll want to do an assessment, won't you? You'll want to.
Oh yeah. I want to see their final film and see if they need to fix anything before they finished and before they can get their certificate.
Right, perfect. So what you do is you put an assignment in there, yeah, and you mark it as compulsory.
Yeah, we did that.
Right. So if you only when you approve them will they then be finished. and then they'll get the certificate.
Last time what I did was, although the assignment was there, but once I finished watching all the videos, then like I got the mail and the certificate. Like there was no need for the assignment to be finished. Once you are done watching all the videos, the certificate shoots at you.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. If you mark it right, okay. So maybe it's I need to check that myself, see if that's the case. But what you can definitely do is have an assignment, and then after it have one more lesson. Okay. In that lesson, just put something like "Thank you for attending this workshop" or whatever. You know, make sure that you sign up with my YouTube channel, Vimeo, because you've got them all, Gary, so you can send them to all of them, and just do that as an end part. That way, what will happen is that's another part of the lesson they need to do before the certificate fires. So then they'll be stuck on that compulsory bit, and they won't be able to move to that last lesson until you approve them, Gary. So when they're approved, then they'll be able to go to that next lesson, and then the certificate will fire out to them.
So we add another video, you're saying, a video lesson.
Yeah, you could
Not a
add
video.
another video.
Not a video. Oh, I see. I don't think, no, not a
Or just a
video. It's not
PDF.
necessary.
Just a PDF.
Whatever.
You could do whatever, yeah, whatever you like. I mean, sometimes people use assignments to hold people up in courses. So a lot of people use drip. So drip goes out, but you don't bring people through a course all at the same time if you use drip, because if the drip's going out every week and someone signed up 2 weeks ago, they're going to have access to week 2. So what I like to do to hold a class up going through my course is I like to put assignments at the end of each section. That way I make sure everyone going through, and if people haven't sent me the assignment, I can chase them up with an email, send the assignment, otherwise you're not going to go through, and then I can click approve, and then they all go through together.
Actually,
So that's a way of controlling the flow through.
In our workflow, if you see, we didn't create any sections. We created the curriculum, lessons, and assignments in a layer. We don't have sections at all.
Right. Okay. Well, that doesn't matter either. You can just put another assignment in a lesson, so you could have multiple assignments in one section.
Yeah, you can see the structure of our course, David. You will get an idea how we have done it.
Right. All right. Right. I just need to make sure there's no important information. Don't want to share any important information. All right. So let me share this screen. All right. Okay. Yeah. So this is your, oh, I see. So you've got it as one section, and then you've got this going through. So which one is this? What final submission? So that's the final submission. So yeah, you've got it as compulsory. So I'd create another lesson underneath it, and then put your social media, or say thanks for attending. We'll be in touch when we release the next one or something, and then they won't go through. But you've got discussions, you've got it set compulsory, approved assignment. So yeah, you've done all that correctly. Good.
So now they will not only they will receive the certificate once their final submission is approved. So where is that approval layer, David? How does it get approved that now this person should get the certificate? Like, how does that mail analogy work?
It just looks at the last lesson, and then it will display. Once I've completed the last lesson, it will display. I mean, if you added another 20 lessons under this, then that certificate download wouldn't come up. So until they get to the end of that new stuff that you put in there. So it can be a good way to issue new certificates for people that are in a course. So they could do a first part, and then, you could handle this manually. You could actually create you couldn't. I'm trying to think radically, but it's not working.
The idea I gave Gaz was, once the course is done, instead of putting certificate on automated format, you send them a personal email. But at some stage, if you have so many students, then how many certificates can individually track. That was the thing, and Gary wanted it automated. And I wanted to make sure that there is some sort of a little approval button or something that yes, this person finished. Either in the email, there has to be a button which says, yes, this person did it and should receive the certificate.
Yeah.
But once that person has sent a mail about the submission, the course will see that person's course finished and send that person the certificate.
Yeah, but it's but we haven't got that. That's a new feature you're talking about. So,
But I think it will be valuable.
yeah, I mean, that's a new. That would be a good thing. I think it would be nice to maybe in automations be able to set up one of the automations so that it sends a certificate based on criteria inside the course. The criteria either be you checking something or you making sure that they've met some requirement that you need them to meet, whether it be something like getting a specific pass rate in a quiz. Maybe they've got to have completed all 5 of the assignments that you've set. So that kind of thing would be very cool, you know, and I'm sure we're going to get to that stage because, you know, there's the whole idea of doing things like gamifications. And as soon as that starts to be worked on, then these are kind of things that will work really well together with it. So people are rewarded based on certain criteria. And then by doing that, the platform is set up to do exactly what you wanted to do there with the certificates, because it will be something that is approved or automated.
Okay.
In the system.
So the long and the short is we're just going to have to test it and see that it's working now. That's all.
Yeah, I'll run a test anyway, Gary. I'll let you know. But I'm pretty much 100% sure that if you put another lesson underneath this one and just fancy it up saying, and it's a nice thing to do as well, right at the end, you know, you could even put yourself on there, Gary, and just talk about, you know, maybe all the things that you've covered and, you know, we're doing this next, or we've got plans for this. You can put that on all your social media feeds and also put it as a video at the end. So when Inda was saying, oh, maybe use a video, that's what I think you meant, to sort of round it off and close the course. So it can be a nice way to, you know, just to finish.
Okay. Can I just ask you a little bit about the secret of marketing? And so I've got 2 questions. The one is about marketing and the one is about using Zoom. I know that Zoom is built in or hidden away somewhere, and I did see the button, so don't worry about that. My question is, can you use Zoom? And if so, can you use it freely, like a paid subscriber of Zoom, to talk to your students, for example, to give them a live?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what we're doing now is we're live streaming. We're doing this through Zenler.
Yeah, I know, but you've got a special privilege being the professor.
No. This is a pro account. It's a premium account through Zenler, but it's exactly the same as you've got. So you've got a pro account. So you can do what I'm doing now, stream straight to the Facebook or YouTube group. This is not special privileges.
I've never tried it, so there you go. I was too scared. When we talk, we still go on Zoom and cut off every 40 minutes and then rejoin.
Oh no! See, that's the thing. You've got a free Zoom account, but obviously with Zenler, you get enterprise level Zoom features. So okay, you can. The good thing about your own Zoom account is you can issue the same URL. So it's worked slightly different because you're actually going through Zenler's enterprise level Zoom integration. Okay, so Zoom and Zenler are built kind of really integrated, not just an integration, it's more of a part of the Zenler system. So it's you're using Zenler's Zoom account. So it's a real close knit. But there are little limitations. But I think the benefits outweigh even a paid Zoom account. For instance, you have access with a paid Zoom account, unless you go for a really big package on Zoom, you can't do 4-hour lives. You know, you can with Zenler.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 4-hour lives. Well, I do my day with Zenler. The end is coming up this Friday, and I do the first one I ever did. I did 2 4-hour sessions all through Zoom. You know, straight onto our Facebook group, and I'm doing one this Friday for 3 hours.
How do you keep going? Do you have an intravenous drip or something?
Yeah, just get motivated. Yeah. Lots of coffee, isn't it? But there's so much to talk about. But I mean, you've got that built in there, Gary. So what I would suggest, I mean, it's great because you've got Inder. Why don't you test it on each other? You know, you do one and then just see. And
I can never do that on Inder because his baby is always sleeping.
That is a problem. Well, you can just do like a puppet show or something, you know, to test it. You've got each other. You've got each other's backs. It's a good thing, you know. Having someone to work with is brilliant, you know.
I've got 2 fabulous people. We've got one in north of Melbourne and one in Connecticut, which is the United States of nowhere. Oops, I wasn't allowed to say that.
I'm sure there'll be some comments. Right. Well, I'll just show you the live feature in here just quickly. We have got videos on this. So Inder probably knows about those videos. Do you?
Yes, I've seen them. Yeah.
You've seen them. So you know how it works. But you know that course link I put in there, you know, later on in the courses, we're going to be covering all lives. And actually, it might be perfect for you guys because it might be at a stage, it's probably going to happen in about maybe 3 months. And by that stage, you might be ready to start doing your live things. You might be ready to actually learn much more about it. So it could fall for you perfectly. So sign up for that course link.
I just did.
Yeah, go in because you'll see the replays on there as well. And this is the most up-to-date information because this is, you know, it's not old information or anything.
So do I get another Zenler t-shirt?
No.
I've got this huge Zenler t-shirt. It's so big I can't even get into it. Anyway, it's wonderful. It's really an honor and a privilege and everything else. Can you talk to me very simply as you would talk to a very tired man at 10 o'clock at night? Could you talk to me a little bit about marketing? What does it mean? How do you do it? If you're an artist, how do you market?
Well, is it that
without spending millions of dollars or pounds or whatever you call it?
Right. Well, again, right. I can tell you this again. Our tutorial site is going to be the best way for you to start off, especially as you've got a lot of videos. So I'll cover it in a second. I will just go through it and then I can sort of explain what's going on inside the course. It's because it's been laid out in a logical way. It's easier for me to show you the course because I've thought about it very carefully. And if I say stuff off the fly, I'm probably going to get stuff out of order. So if I go into our tutorials.newzenler.com site, you're going to see in here we have this tab, this zone called Zenler Marketing. If you enter into that zone, you're going to get a course that says Zenler Basic Marketing. It's not basic. It's a bit more intermediate than basic, and in fact, some parts of it run into advanced stuff. So don't take it that it's like idiots level. It's not. It's kind of like it's more than that. And these are proven techniques that I use, that I've used for years. They work for me. So it tells you all about the kind of marketing mindset, Gary.
Yeah.
So like, you know, the fact is that a lot of people think they'll build a website and then suddenly the traffic will just appear. That's never, ever the case. There's also these other thing about all these adverts you get saying, you know, I'll make you X amount of money in 2 months. And do not believe that. The only people making money from that are the people that are selling it. Okay. They're marketing to you and you're falling into their marketing. And that's a big one. The only way to start to get lots of followers following you, and you've probably got a big market anyway, Gary, because you've been doing this stuff for years. So people know you. You have a lot of contact lists. So for you, it's going to be very easy to send out to those people and tell them about what you're doing, and they're going to be excited and they're going to
Our
buy into it.
our biggest following are all the Facebook pages, the Puppetry Films, Puppetry News, all the Facebook pages. We've got a few thousand followers on each. But then how do you convert your followers to your customers?
You tell them about it. If what you are giving away on if your sales page is a good, well-written sales page, don't go on and on and on. Just give them the key points that what they're going to learn from that course. And I can see that your site already does that. You just need to tell them about it. What is marketing in a nutshell? Shouting about yourself or your company. That's all it is. So however you want to shout about, not in a bad way, not in a violent, aggressive way, but you want to tell people in a nice, informed way and communicate with people about what you're doing. You're doing exactly what I've got a big following on my Facebook groups as well as my YouTube channel, with over 7,000 members on my YouTube channel alone and thousands inside my Facebook groups. And what I do is I send emails out. So I'm bringing out this new site. You saw it earlier with the sticky header, Biomechanics, Biomachiner. And I've already started posting that inside I haven't launched yet, but I started posting it inside my Facebook group, telling them what it was all about. So I'm building up the anticipation. I've also set up the holding page for it. So I'm already getting people coming in. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to send a mail out to all of my people that are in my mojo.design courses. And I'm going to send them a link saying, join up with my ZBrush.mojo design course. So I'm getting ready, but I'm not doing that until I've launched. So I'm tackling it on set up a holding page to gather leads. And that page is all very well SEO'd. And I've done videos on my YouTube channel and posted to my Facebook group. And I'm getting people coming to my site as leads. So I've got them as leads. And let me just show you what I've got before we jump back to what I've got there. So
we're doing tons of 1 minute videos to get people to interested.
Right. Yeah, brilliant. 1 minute, 2 minutes, fantastic.
No, 59 seconds is the limit, because for Instagram and Facebook and everything, it's got to be short.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So whatever you need for that particular channel. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing a page that hasn't launched yet. Now you can see that it hasn't launched yet because it says preview. Only I can see this page. This hasn't been launched to anyone. My actual page, this is what I'm putting together. My actual homepage for zbrush.mojo.design is this page. There is no navigation at the top or bottom. People can go nowhere. I've started, this is called a holding page. So it's like a pre-launch page. So I've said coming soon, and I'm already getting people coming here to register up for the biomechanics. And they also have a new registration down here for the biomachiner. So I automatically get people coming to the site. Most people have signed up for both. But when they come into the site, they're tagged. So they're tagged with machiner or mechanica. And I know which form they filled out. Like I said, most people have filled both out, so they've got both tags, and they're asking me to tell them when I launch. So in the background,
does this go onto your Zenler email list automatically then?
It goes into my list as leads. It goes automatically into my list as leads, as tagged leads. Okay. So that's how I do it. I don't use the default registration form with Zenler. I've deleted it out, because I don't want people to have access to my site as a logged in user. So I deleted the registration page out completely, and I just put a form like this into the registration page. So I've bypassed that. So what does that mean if I bypass not letting anyone register on my site? Well, it means that I've locked my site down. It means that only people that are coming in as leads, and it means that only people that are going to be logged in are people that have bought my course. I'm not going to get people coming in looking for freebies or any of that stuff. I just want paying members in there. And that means that I can set up my pages for logged in users only. And I know those pages that are set up for logged in users only are going to be viewed by students and not people that have just registered on my site. So that's how I've done it. And I've got this holding page to capture leads. I am in the background working on my site. I'm going to put 2 courses up, one in each of the sections. As soon as I've done that, I'm then going to send a mail to my list of people. I'm going to do a YouTube video all about it and put up all my social media posts as well. And then I will get traffic coming to it. And that's how you do it. So, and also you ask the students as well. They've already asked me, and I should have done this ages ago because I could make thousands. They've asked me to do a course based on another course. This is the students asking me on my Facebook group, can I do this for them?
Wow.
And I said, who's interested in this? And there was just everybody. And then I sent a mail out to them all and got a response back of about 90% of my students wanted me to do it, and they would buy into it at pre-launch. So I need to get that done because that's going to make me, well, maybe 10, 15,000 if I put that together. But I just haven't done it because I haven't had time. And this thing that you're seeing now is a complete side project from all of that stuff. So marketing in a nutshell is if you've already got people like you have, Gary, on your, and you've got lots of social media, you just need to tell them about it, you know, just be honest about it, get them to maybe do a pre-sign up for it and let them come into it. But this marketing basics course is going to be really good for you because this shows me working on my site. This shows me working on my site. It's actually a surf site, which is another site I've got, and it shows how I'm marketing it and how I go about. So you're actually seeing how I do it in here. So it tells you about how to do basic SEO. It got PDF handouts in here. The right free tool. All of this is free, by the way. All of the tools and everything you use in here is free. So it's like getting the right tools and resources, setting up your Google Gmail account properly, bookmarking, logos for Google, you know, and then we've got adding Google Analytics, setting up Search Console, Google, submitting the URLs to Google so the search engines can find it, and advanced SEO, and also all about YouTube. You are producing videos. You need to watch this YouTube section. You really do, because the way that I'm talking about how you name your videos, how you set your video up, how you tag your video, it's really, really, really important. You'll probably double the amount of people viewing the video if you use these methods. And I would say to you, use these methods, post a video, and watch the view rate compared to some of your older videos. And I think you'll be surprised. I think it will boost up.
I'm surprised already.
Right. So then we go on to incentives. So what sort of incentives can you use to sort of get people in? So it's coupons, giveaways, free material, and lives. So I do cover lives in here as well. And then we've got the more advanced SEO research and writing for SEO. Including things like backlinking, internal links, hashtags, video content. We got an SEO checklist as well. There's a PDF handout in there. And then we say putting it all together. So the work begins at this stage. And it's not hard, this stuff. It looks like there's a lot of content on there, but they're fairly short videos. They're more to educate you on marketing. There's some good stuff on here as well about using things like Camtasia and also like how to present yourself on camera and those sort of things. So you'll probably have a lot of input on that. Get back to me, actually, if you watch this, Gary and Inda, get back to me on your thoughts about the sort of how to be better on camera, because it'd be quite interesting to see your insights.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever they may be. Yeah, so we have that SEO, and then we're putting it all together, and then you have here shouting about your brand. So then we have, how do we get it out there to people? So cherry pick the bits you want, or if you want to be really go for it, then do that course, and that will answer 90% of your questions that you have on marketing. Okay,
wonderful. And is that live now?
It's live. It's in the tutorials.newzenler.com site.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it at 10 o'clock at night, but I'd like to have a look through that.
Do it now.
No.
So that's the site there. jump into the NZ Masterclass bundle and you'll see it in there. Indo, you're already in there, aren't you? Because you've done lots of the videos. So, but there's always things you might have looked at the videos at the course area ages ago, and I add things a lot. So you might have looked at it and there might not have been all that content on there.
My only source of video viewing is YouTube. I am learning a lot. So I watch most of your stuff on YouTube, not on the Zenler tutorials.
Right. You need to do the courses, because the courses are linear. They will educate you more than the YouTube channels. YouTube's are good for short bursts of little bits of information, but connecting the dots is not what our YouTube videos do. Inside the courses, they connect the dots all the way through. So they talk about the whole process. So if you're doing just from the YouTube videos, a lot of people do this, Inda, but it's a big problem because they're not following the flow, and then they're asking questions that they should know if they'd have followed it through in a linear fashion, you know?
Yeah, I did a YouTube course a couple of weeks ago. When they're having courses, they normally notify me, like a 1-day or a 2-day course, and it's all live online. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, courses we do things like Ask Zenler, so there's little snippets of information. It's like almost like little news bites, but it's not a course. I mean, if you do things like these kind of live, even these live builds, you know, they're just like tackling someone's problem. They're not taking people through. So like with A Day with Zenler, I can say, right, I can do a course and a site and a course in A Day with Zenler. And that's a course because it follows it right the way through. But these little snippets of information are not the best way to maximize your time for learning. If you can work through the linear courses, even if you have to skip them, and you watch the first 5 minutes, go, I already know this, jump to the next one.
Yeah.
And that's the better way, because I know there are lots, but I've tried to keep the videos like sub 10 minutes. So they're quite quick to go through. It's just there's a lot of different lessons because each thing tackles a different little point. And I don't want to put them all in one lesson. Otherwise I can't, you know, for social media and things, it's not good. I'd rather produce 10 videos than one big video.
Absolutely. People have got a very short concentration span, especially people like me with ADHD, but our videos are not more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they cater for me.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we do, isn't it? We do how we would want to learn. And that's how we work. You know, really, if you're being true to yourself, you shouldn't be trying to cater to what everybody else wants you to do, because it's kind of like, no, this is me. I'm not changing the way I am. It changes the whole thing of teaching if you're trying to do everything for someone else all the time. It's like I say, you know, I've said this many times, people say, oh, can you do it at this time? Can you do it at that time? My thing is that I've been up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Oh, no more.
I have. And what I say to people is, if you are serious about course creation, you will turn up for lives at any time, and especially because it's free. If we were charging $1,000 to do a live session, I guarantee that you would turn up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because we do all this stuff for free, you get people telling us, can you do it that time? Can you do it? So we try to cater, but it's all based around what we.
Well, what we've done is we've got two live feedback sessions, one for the United States and Mexico, and one for Europe and Shanghai. The one is at 12 noon our time, the other one's 8 p.m. our time, and that caters for the whole gambit, those 2 sessions.
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. You know, moving forwards, we've got Alice now. Alice is in Florida. Obviously, we're in the UK. And as we build, we're going to have more support. So maybe there'll be more times going out. Because I'm running these lives, I have to, it would be impossible for me to do more than I'm doing at the moment. I just can't do it. I handle my business and Zenler stuff and be able to do too many lives. It's just unfeasible. So I say I'm going to do this time slot. That's what I'm sticking to because it works for me and I can stick to it and I can commit to it. That's the most important bit. And I run them for, last time I was running the lives were like 4 p.m. and that was it run. And now I'm doing the Southern Hemisphere. So I'm doing 10 a.m. So that's how I work it. But I'm pretty sure that as we move forwards, there will be more people from more locations and they can then do lives and then give me a rest.
Okay.
So you know, you can burn out.
As soon as we've got the whole package, we'll offer our services.
Brilliant. All right, guys. So we are rounding off. We've been, well, it's nearly 2 hours now. So thank you.
I was told this is going to go on until the morning.
Well, you can stay on. Look, hopefully I've answered all your questions in this. So it has been a bit of a different one, this, because normally it's like showing people how to make their site look pretty, you know, or do some basic things. But we don't really normally talk about coding and these things. But it's an interesting subject because it does show you the power of the platform. I'm sure you guys will agree. You know, there's a lot more going on that is kind of hidden away that you don't really touch much. And when you know about it, then it opens your mind up to what you can do. So I'm sure, Indy, that you're going to be having to play around with this stuff, aren't you? And
I do.
Yeah, good. And it's so good to meet you all. I'd like to have you on again at some point as well. It's been fun.
Why don't you just as a start come to the introduction course and experience it in the real world? And then you can be our marketing manager as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, it'd be really nice as well. We've talked about this, about actually having some sort of summit and things. So when the world maybe gets back to normal, maybe that's a case that everybody can kind of like all meet up. That would be fantastic from all places in the world. You know,
I have the right passport, but unfortunately it's worth nothing since Brexit took over, unfortunately. But at least I might be allowed into England with it, at least. Probably the only country that will allow me.
I'll vouch for you. Don't worry. I'll vouch for you guys. All right. Well, we're going to say that's the end. And thank you very much, guys, for coming on. I know it's really late in Australian time. So hopefully we solved all your problems. Make sure that you PM me if you've got any other problems with the site for CSS. So that live session there, we covered CSS, which is advanced coding. Remember, we offer no support for it. Hopefully you've picked up a few tips. Remember, you can go into the Ninja Trips course if you want to know more about this kind of stuff. And it takes you through it quite gently. You know, you can just test and play around and just have fun with your Zenler site. So thanks, guys, and I will see you around. And it's out from me. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.